Jelena Ostapenko, world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka to win the Stuttgart Open in stunning. Had failed to win the 3 previous meeting against Sabalenka, took the match 6-4, 6-love. The Latvian set the tone with a break of serve in the opening game and kept the pressure on throughout. Ostapenko raced to victory in emphatic style by railing off 5 games in a row. Ostapenko, who is 27, also beat world number 2 Iga Swiatek in the quarterfinals. It is her 9th WTA title and the first one clay since winning the French Open in 2017. Still talking tennis this morning, Emma Raducanu has paused the search for a new full-time coach. She's saying she is happy to keep things informal as her part-time partnership with Mark Petchey continues. Raducanu brought in Petchey, a well-known figure in British tennis circles and a former coach of Andy Murray, into her coaching team on a casual basis at last month's Miami Open. Petchey was in the coaching box as the 22-year-old Briton reached the quarterfinals and produced her best tennis of the season. Raducanu, who is returning to competitive action this week at the Madrid Open after a month off, said Petchey will be fitting her around. All right. Mr. Peter Abaje, Emma Raducanu, the inconsistency, with her having a permanent coach has remained her bane, and she's not even willing to, give time to a permanent coach. Do you think that this, arrangement of a temporal coach is going to help improve the course of her game?
Well, I don't think it is her not, wanting to be patient enough to work with a permanent coach. It is her not getting the desired results with the coaches that she works with. If a coach come on part-time basis, like our current coach Petchey on a casual basis, like she said,
yeah,
and if she's getting the desired results, from him, there will be this tendency for her to continue with the coach, on a permanent basis. Athletes are actually looking for something different from what they have been used to, under a new coach. And if it is still the same thing, you don't expect the athletes to want to say, okay, I want to have this coach on a permanent basis. But if the coach brings something different, from what she was used to or what the athlete is used to, I think there will be this tendency for the athletes to have the tennis player to have the coach on a permanent basis. So that is what, I think has not been a friend. Injury has been a friend rather, in a very recent time, because she has been down and and out. And I think, English players have not been as successful as tennis players from other climes. What has made tennis players from the Serbian bloc very thick, in the last 2 decades? What has made tennis players from, Spain, and Germany, very thick in the last 1 decade, as the case may be. So for her, I think she also should start thinking of embracing coaches, from this bloc, Serbia, Spain, and maybe Germany. Let's see, what they do that is different from what the British, our coaches does. Same thing is applicable to football. You see, coaches in England, the average English coach, football coaches, what they bring to the table. You want to compare it to what our coaches from other climes that are in England today are bringing to the table. You see a different flair, a different philosophy, and it makes the game very exciting. So maybe she needs to also try out something else, from our comfort zone and see how, it is going to be for her. But my worry here is, we talk about tennis players from other climes doing well. What about Nigeria? It will shock you today that there is no Nigerian player that is ranked, between 1 and 900 today, male and female. I doubt if there's any tennis player, a Nigerian tennis player that is ranked in the top 900 today.
Now, you're coming from a very different angle entirely. You talked about Nigerian player not ranked within the first 100, but it's not only restricted to Nigeria. You talk about Africa as a whole. It looks as though we don't really have this, you know, drive for tennis. We can only talk about one notable name, maybe Onjobua, you know, the Tunisian. There's no other
South African tennis players are doing better than Nigeria.
True.
Egyptian tennis players are doing better than Nigeria. I want to think that the entire North African tennis players are doing better than Nigeria today. And South Africa, and I think Zimbabwe, that tennis players are doing better than Nigeria today. Don't forget, there was a time when Nigeria dominated the space in Africa, when we had Nduka Odizo and Immonite. Yeah. We also had from Port Harcourt here, Maku, Sunday Maku, you know. But today, what is it like? How many grade A level tennis championship do we have in Nigeria? In the 70s, in the 80s, we go back memory lane, you see pictures of players who later became Grand Slam winners, came to Nigeria to play.
True.
To play tennis championship. Then there was so much value attached to tennis. But today, what is it like? You know, any country that is doing pretty well in tennis, go back home and find out what they are doing and find out how many tennis academies they have around, how many facilities they have around for budding talents to assess, you know, on a weekend basis from their very, you know, tender ages. But today, what do we have? You know, I'll always talk about Rivers State. Go to the Sports Council this morning. Today's 22nd of April, right?
Yeah.
Go to the Rivers State Sports Council and see what the tennis facility there looks like. It's an eyesore. So how and when can you start thinking of producing, you know, world beaters, you know, when you don't even have the basic, you know, facility?